PBS takes you back to 1883 Montana for a behind-the-scenes look at the making of Frontier House, the series that asks the question, can 3 modern families survive 5 months in 1883 Montana?
I don't think there has been a program like the Frontier House in the past. There have been historical documentaries that have explored the experience of homesteading, and there have been dramas that have depicted the lifestyle of those people who came west. But never before have we seen people reenacting, but re-experiencing in the total, full immersion of the experience before. It's an incredibly complex logistical nightmare in many ways to be able to make sure that we can try and recreate as closely as we can life in 1883. And to be able to do that, we've managed to be able to draw upon the resources and the knowledge of a lot of people, particularly historians and experts in various fields out here in the West.
Before the families make their journey to Frontier Valley, they're put through a 2-week period of intensive training.
There's a variety of consultants on the Frontier House project, some dealing with domestic chores, animal handling, the horses, etc., farming, and of course the kitchen needs to be addressed also. Your first task is going to be to build your home. You get an axe, you get a shovel, you get a stone, you get a file, let your hands slide. Pace yourself.
But it's fun. I love swinging an axe. I love physical labor.
Domestic arts or domestic life is a big subject. So today we started with food. And as they say, no work will get done unless the man's belly's full.
In a few minutes, we will be killing these birds. And I'm curious, how do any of you feel about that?
I think it would be fun to watch. It's still moving.
Animal handler Rawhide Johnson's most challenging task is finding hand-milked cows for the families to use at their homesteads.
I talked to almost everybody in the state of Montana, I think, that had milk cows or a milk cow or two trying to bum, borrow, or steal it for the season. One of the ladies here in Montana actually grinned and told me that she says, you know, you can have my husband and you can have my daughter, but you can't have my milk cow. And I thought that's pretty attached.
The way you're going to be able to know whether your stove is warm enough is by opening the oven and putting your hand in it.
I'm highly impressed with my wood stove brand. Isn't this fun? I've had so much fun.
Didn't sit too well with me at first when we got the schedule, and it's like sewing and cooking, making bread, sanitary, great.
It's not a program about 1883. It's a program about modern people visiting 1883. So it says as much about us as it does about people in history.
That it's not a camping trip. You don't get to go home and take a hot shower at the end of it. They have 4 months or more that they have to live this.
It's not our intention to be able to pitch people out here and just see them sink. We want them to be able to have some triumphs, equally in the same way that people had with homesteading.
I think people tend to romanticize what life was like 100 years ago. It was simpler, it was easier. No, it was harder, it was uglier.
How's that?
I don't think we had a clear, realistic picture of what 1883 was all about.
It's harder than we all thought, and I think that that's going to be one of the very interesting, through lines of the program.
Oh my God, there's my tomato plant.
You're really going to see that it's much harder, and that when you go there and you live it and you build your cabin, it's really difficult, and emotionally, issues boil.
It only takes, one broken leg or a weather storm that came in, and before you know it, you're bust.
This is an intense time of togetherness, outward bound in a big way, where they've really learned things about each other and about their relationships that in our sort of busy modern lifestyle, you don't sort of take the time to learn about each other.
I try to stay as closely as I can in touch with the families without living with them. And so I ask the families to be able to record their daily thoughts and their daily ideas about how the project is unfolding, how the experience is unfolding, and to convey that to me so that I can understand what's exciting them, what's stimulating them. To watch the video diaries sometimes and to see some of the difficulties they're having and some of the pain that they're feeling at times, you can't but help become wound up and involved in and worried for them.
I'm not in the mood to be sick. Not anymore.
I'm starting to realize some things about my marriage, that there are some things that I just can't fix about it. There are some things I can't change about the personalities of the people in this family.
Quit your whining, it's not attractive.
It's difficult watching some very, very awkward situations that they're in and not to feel huge sympathy.
I don't understand like why they would be all nice about like being all friendly with neighbors. They talk so much crap.
I see cool people.
Sometimes you feel like you want to go up there and just solve the problems for them, but of course that would negate the whole purpose of the project.
I think my wife has turned into some type of Hitler.
Yeah, I'm ready to kick him out and just do it by myself.
It's a hard thing to try and remain uninvolved in it. You can't do that, and so I find it tough. I've had a lot of sleepless nights when I know they have sleepless nights.
It's just not fair.
Been a particularly hot day. We've done a lot of work.
It just totally sucks. It's totally hard out here. Okay, turn it off.
And I find that we all ride an emotional roller coaster with the families. They have good times, they have bad times. When they're happy, we're happy. But when they go down, when they get themselves into very difficult situations, we find ourselves in that situation where we're with them through that.
It is isolated out here. I didn't think I would miss people so much, but I do.
Truly, it's hard, and what they're doing is hard. But what gets them going, and we had one expert say this, is that you're going to need determination and a large, large sense of humor. And really, humor is what keeps them going, I think, at all, is having a moment to laugh at themselves. So it's finding that balance.
Who turned out the lights?
Cowboy thinks it was hard.
Hour, 15 minutes, hour and a half. And I have created this. Check it out, isn't it beautiful?
One of the main concerns of the production team is providing the families with period-appropriate provisions.
This is the container, which is our storeroom, where we keep all the supplies that the families will be getting and have gotten through the whole summer. We've gone to a fair amount of effort to try and reproduce not only the food itself, but actually the kind of food it had, and the texture of the food and the color of the food, as it would have been 100 years ago. This is like a typical store order that we're preparing now. Here's a bag of white flour, 10 pounds of dried apples, some new shoes, cans of tomatoes, which we've repackaged. You can see some of the labels that we have reproduced. These are period food labels. Ham comes from a distributor called Smithfield. We'll take it out of the packaging. Bacon is another one of the staples that they would have had out here on the frontier. Once they get it, it's no longer refrigerated, but even when it comes to us already, it's gone a little green. And that's one of the typical experiences of living on the homestead. You have no refrigeration.
Who wants to go shopping?
The families can purchase items that were available in 1883 Montana, but first they must make a 10-mile journey through the mountains to a general store that has been set up for the duration of their stay in Frontier Valley.
The name of this store is the Hapsing Yim Mercantile. One of our researchers who looked into the local history of this area and found a Chinese merchant called Hapsing Yim who actually had a mercantile. So we thought we'd recreate that part of the experience. You'll see there are little Chinese elements here. And we have a person who comes in and serves in the place of Hapsing and does the trading and does the marketing with the families.
Good to see you.
How are you? I'm Gordon Kalun.
Hi, nice to meet you. Your cigar, open up, take a look at it.
As a general store and post office, Hapsing Yim Store is the homesteader's primary source of contact with the outside world.
As it's been going along, I've noticed a few of the families get so into 1883 that they're there, and you suddenly realize, my God, this person really thinks they're a homesteader, and that's great. Magic happens.
It's a tremendously evocative moment in history. And therefore, I think people all over the world will have an interest in this series because it's about something we think we know about. But boy, was I wrong. I didn't know about it, you know. And I think it's going to shatter some myths, shatter some of those slightly romanticized views about what life was like in the sort of Wild West days.